What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Hardworking Happy Hour. I'm Sean.
And I'm Catherine, and as always, we'll be breaking down all things trades, entrepreneurship, and turning your creativity into a passion career. Sean!
Hey!
My goodness, how the heck are you doing?
You know what? Do you know what?
I don't know. Haven't seen you in a while.
I'm doing great. I'm doing so good. You know what? I'm listening to our little intro there. Have we delivered on that? Are we helping people turn their creativity into a passion career?
God, I hope so.
Well, give us some feedback on that. Always good to do some reflection on our goals here. So,
True.
What's happening with you? How you doing?
Oh, I'm really good. And also, I just watched this video yesterday about this lady who was like, she was like, we all need to start being more delusional. And like when somebody asks you how you're doing, even if you're having a bad day, you got to be like, I am having the best day. And then eventually your brain starts to believe it because you're just being so positive. And I'm not sure if that's back into the toxic positivity that we used to
Do you remember that?
dabble in.
Oh my God.
But I think I'm going to start doing that. Not that I'm having a bad day. I'm having a perfectly fine day. It's just started, but I think I'm going to start doing that.
I feel like we talked about this before because my go-to is when somebody says, how you doing? I say, pretty good.
Yeah.
But I've mentally tried to change that to, I'm doing excellent. How you doing?
Yeah.
Excellent instead
So
of pretty good. Because pretty good just, kind of rolls off the tongue. Pretty good. But
Yeah.
most of the time it is just pretty good. And I don't know if I'm going to start doing excellent, but yeah, maybe I'll trick myself into thinking that I am doing excellent.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's a little jarring when people tell you, like, they're not doing so good when you ask that, which is genuine, and I do appreciate it, but it always catches me a little off guard. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. I'm so sorry to hear that,
Sir, I'm just trying to buy a foot-long hoagie here at Subway. I was just trying to be nice. Don't care, sir.
Anyway, how the heck have you been? We haven't had the two of us episode in a while, so
it's so good to
on?
catch up. Oh my God, so much has been going on. We've been building projects. We've been doing so much, right? Haven't we?
I think so.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot. I think we have. We had a couple guest episodes, which was really cool. It's nice to.
Yeah, we had 4 in a row.
Was it 4 in a row?
It was 4, yeah.
Oh, nice. Well, we had some great guests, and now it's back to just us here. And I guess we do have a little bit of catching up to do with our audience here. What are some new things that we've been doing?
New things that we've been doing.
I don't know. Yeah. Let's talk about it.
It's still just decks and patios mostly, but still working from home a good bit, which is nice. This job site that we have right now has like 0 internet, so I'm not able to do a lot of the things. So I really do miss the belt on time, or just the possibility of some belt on time.
Just
when I'm
being
home, I'm
around
just
belts.
like,
yeah.
I do miss it, and I do miss the crew. It's very lonely working by yourself.
Oh, I
just
bet.
like end up talking to myself. It's weird,
Besides
but you gotta be able to like
there's
there's
usual,
yeah. There's nothing worse than being at work and like when I don't have internet and I can't do anything, then I just feel like I'm just wasting time. Like just sitting there.
Right.
I hate that feeling. So Anyway, so what's new with you? What's new on site?
We have enjoyed your absence. It's been great.
Oh, I bet. No, I'm sure. No doubt in my mind that is happening.
A little bit less bickering, which is good and bad because I always, initiate most of that for fun. But no, everything's been going pretty good. We've got a new machine on site, which has been great. We can talk about that a little bit. Finally retired the dingo. The dingo is either going to get
put out to pasture.
Either put out to pasture, sold to the metaphorical meat market, to wholesale, or I might just have it as a yard machine here. It's still got some life in it, but it just breaks down a lot. And at least if it breaks down here, it's already here at my house, so it can move some stuff around. So we'll see how that goes.
I think that's going to be so frustrating for you though, because it always anytime you go to use it is when you find out that it's broken, and you're going to be like, oh, I'll move all this brush around, and it's going to be broken. So it's like,
yeah, well then I'll just
it's a project to fix it, and then
well then it's just like, well, I guess I'll just go inside and watch TV. The dingo's broken, but so did decide to. One of the things that I was kind of struggling with was do I get another machine that's similar size to the Dingo, or do we upgrade to something larger, like a full-size skid? And there's pros and cons to both. In the end, I thought that there was more jobs where we really need that smaller machine, and a larger machine would kind of just be so overkill with tearing up the yard more and all that kind of stuff, that ideally we have both. But I think if we're just going to have one for now, it makes sense to have the smaller machine. It does make a little bit of extra work. We have to break down pallets to be able to move stuff around. It can't lift a full pallet. So hopefully soon we'll have both mini and a full-size skid. But for now, went with the Bobcat MT100, and heard some good things about it. I know a couple of people that have them. I reached out to them. They said, yeah, we like it a lot. And it just seems like it's built a little bit sturdier from my limited experience with it so far. And it's got a lot more room to access everything inside. So if something does break down, not everything's like so packed in there. So we'll see how that goes. So far, so good. And I decided to finance it. Usually I'm like, you know what, let's just buy it. Let's just buy it cash and don't have to worry about the payments. But they get you with that 0% financing. It's like,
well, it's just a smart decision to do that. If they offer it, why not?
I guess. I mean, I think it's, it's tough to say. It's tough to say whether that's, you're taking a little bit of, I guess, of a risk, because then the wheels start turning, and it's like, well, I could also get 0% on a full-size skid steer, and you know what, they also have excavators there. I can get 0% on everything, and then you're like, well, it's basically free, and then you do start stacking up these payments.
Well, that's not a good idea.
That's not a good idea. So that's where it's kind of a slippery slope. So this machine ended up being about $41,000, 0% financing for 48 months, and the payment is about like $860 a month. So I kind of looked at it like, it's not that much. Like if I had to pay it off right now, I could, but it's, with how much the Dingo has been breaking down, we've been renting a machine like probably once a month or so. And just on this current job, before I was able to get the machine, I had to rent one for 3 days, and it was like $1,300. So I look at it like, this is basically the same cost as renting it for a few days a month. And, it's not such a huge addition to overhead that it just felt like it made sense. And it gives a little bit of flexibility, because I'm still thinking a little bit. I found a used full-size skid steer for $40,000. I was thinking, for financing this, maybe go out and buy one. Buy the full size.
From your neighbor.
From my sort of neighbor guy, yeah. Guy around the block. I saw this machine. It looked nice, a Kubota. So I got that possibility in the back of my mind. I don't want to have two machines financed, and I don't want to start flipping my whole ideology on its head and just start. Now that I'm saying it, though, it'd be fun for a while. Let's just finance a whole bunch of stuff.
It would be fun.
Get a new skid, an excavator. I feel like an excavator is probably the thing that we need the least.
For sure, but the most fun.
Exactly. That's like what I really want to just like have to drive around my house, dig up stumps. Yeah. And just like, I don't know. I'm like, then I could do like an in-ground trampoline. Could build another pool if we wanted.
Yeah, why not?
Maybe like a natural pool. I don't know. That's the most fun thing. That's the most tempting, but we don't really need that much. But hey, who knows?
Maybe we find uses for it,
Yeah,
on the job site as well, not just indoor or underground trampolines.
Yeah, and it's free.
It's practically free.
It's practically free.
What
are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? Repossess it over my dead body? Anyway, so yeah, that's kind of a new thing here. We got a new machine, and it was time for that, and that was kind of my thinking behind whether to finance it, whether to buy it outright, and I think moving forward, what I kind of came to the conclusion of was, it's okay to finance this because it is 0%. It's good to just have that cash in the bank, but not overextend ourselves too much where at any time we can pay that off if it comes down to it. I don't want to be in a position where we owe more on the machine than it could resell for. You know what I mean? Without having that backup plan of being able to pay it off. So I think that's where people get into trouble. They buy the machine, they can afford the payments, and then as soon as work gets a little bit slower and they can't necessarily afford the payments anymore, it's like, okay, I owe $35,000 still on this machine, and since it's used, I could really only sell it for $30,000, something like that. So don't want to get in that situation. But happy with the decision so far. It's nice to just have a new machine, and we're going to keep up with the maintenance, and hopefully it serves us well.
Yeah.
But TBD.
Excited to see what it does.
Yeah.
All right, what else you got? Anything else to chit-chat about first?
No, I think that's pretty much it. What are we going to be getting into on this episode? Because we got a lot. We got a lot.
We do have a lot. We got a couple different topics we're going to talk about. A bit of a mixed bag because we haven't been here in a while, just the two of us chit-chatting. So, first on the docket, space.
Oh, God,
I've been dying to talk about this.
Oh, my God, the final frontier.
The final frontier. All right. Now that you've seen the Blue Origin thing go up in space, are you going on it?
No. And that reminds me of like when it first went up and like Bezos went up in it or whatever. And they were like, giant phallic thing goes to space.
Yeah.
Because the spaceship kind of looks like a wiener.
A wiener.
But then the joke of the meme was plus
because he's in there, yeah.
Plus the spaceship kind of looks like a wiener, so it was calling Jeff Bezos the big wiener.
Yeah,
that was funny, and I'm not sure why the ship is shaped like that. It's quite interesting, but yeah, now they've
aerodynamics, I guess.
Okay,
I'm not sure.
Sure. Anyway. So what was the deal with that? I mean, a bunch of women went into space for like 8 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not I don't really even understand what's happening there. They're going into a low orbit. It's just basically a plane that goes really high. What is it?
Pretty much, yeah. So, well, kind of. I watched it as it was happening, so I got some of the info about it, but...
When was this?
It was like 7 a.m. our time or whatever a couple days ago.
Okay.
Yeah, they're just going into like a low orbit. They get to experience like 4 minutes of zero gravities or whatever it's called.
Okay.
Zero gravities, I think that's the technical term.
Yeah, definitely.
And then they come back down. And it doesn't make sense to me because they go up in this ship and then they come down right where they started, which I'm like, how are you getting it that precise? Like, I guess astronauts are pretty scientific and they know all that kind of stuff. But it just seems like you're going into orbit. You're going so far up and then you're just going to come down and land in like the exact same spot. Earth is big.
Yeah, I have no idea. Do they do like one lap around the Earth or something?
No. They just go up, they look, and then they come back down. I don't understand how that part works at all. Because I'm also like, how do they initiate the coming back down? Like, they're just in like this little pod thing.
Yeah,
like
I have no idea.
There's 6 of them or whatever, and they're all sitting down, and they're just in this like pod with a circle in the middle. And that's the entire thing that's like in space. But anyway, I have so many feelings about this because the whole thing is like, it's all women, blah, blah, blah. The first all-woman manned spacecraft since the 70s when one woman went up by herself. This is historic. And it's like...
It's historic.
Two of those people were actual astronauts, so I do not mean to downplay their role in all of this because I think that they have been completely overshadowed. But, like, who gives a shit that Katy Perry and Lauren Sanchez went into space?
Bezos' new girlfriend or whatever?
That's his girlfriend, yeah.
Okay. What's her story?
I tried to look up her story, and it was like, she used to be a journalist or something. Like, she's rich, and she got to go into space. Katy Perry, she's rich, and she got to go into space. Gayle King, rich, got to go into space.
I don't know who that is.
Oprah's best friend, also a journalist. But it's like...
Okay.
I would think it was really cool if it was just those astronauts, but you put these celebrities on there, and it's like, I don't care that they got to go into space, because they only got to go into space because they're rich. They didn't do anything to earn that. Send those astronauts, those female scientists, they're getting overshadowed because all these crazy, it's like Katy Perry's in there. Don't do that. Don't do that.
I agree. And it was kind of funny. I did see something where, like, I think Katy Perry comes out of the spaceship and she, like, kisses the ground like, I'm back on Earth. Meanwhile, the other space lady was in space for, like, a year or something. And it's oh, really? After 8 minutes, you're going to pull that? I was just in space for, like, a year when I was supposed to be up there for a couple days. I don't understand the obsession with rich people wanting to do things like go into space or go to the bottom of the ocean.
Well, here's the thing. I think this all goes into that thing where, you know how you said if you win the lottery, you'd go to drugs. I think this is their version of going to drugs. It's like the only way they can feel something because they're so rich they can just do whatever. They're like, I need to feel something. I need to shoot myself into space. It seems pretty dangerous, but maybe okay.
Yeah. That's a good point. That is a good point.
I think that's it.
This is their form of drugs. Yeah, and
but,
just to clarify on that, because it sounds, without context, it sounds kind of unhinged. My little theory there, but I have always been against wanting to win the lottery for myself and drugs for the most part, because I just feel like if I was to win the lottery, like especially like these people win like $1 billion on the Powerball or something. What do you do? I just don't know. Like, what do you do if you don't need to go to work at all? Like, I just feel like it would not be good for me. It would not be good for me. And I guess I would buy jet skis and do those for a little bit. And then at a certain point, it's just like you got to keep getting it more exciting. And the only way to go, drugs.
Yeah.
I just feel like I would. I don't know why I don't have a history of drug use, but it's just something I've always felt like I would just go to that.
Straight from jet skis to drugs.
It's a logical progression, honestly. So, I think these people going to space. It's kind of like who cares a little bit.
Yeah. I just hated
more
how
like
much
an amusement ride.
I know.
Than like an actual space mission.
Yeah. And I really just hated how much they were like, it's all women. This is so empowering. Everyone's going to look at this and all the little girls are going to be like, I can go to space now. And it's like, yeah, okay. First you got to become a millionaire or billionaire and then you can go to space.
Right.
It's like, no, that's not how this works. This is not impressive. It is for those two people who are actually astronauts. Great for them. I hope that they had so much joy brought to their lives because of this space mission or whatever.
Hopefully, yeah.
The rest of it, I don't care.
All right,
but that lady was trapped in space for a really long time. And then when she came back, they were supposed to go for like 8 days or whatever. They were gone for like almost a year, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, my God, she looks so old. Look what space does to you. She looks old as hell. And it's like, she just didn't dye her hair for however long because she didn't have hair dye. And now she's got gray hair. So I thought there were so many articles that were like, look at how much space aged her. She's such an old hag now.
Yeah.
Come on. Like, the lady was literally trapped in space. Let's give her a break. She's fine.
It's a shame that the man had to look at that while he was trapped in space the whole time. Yeah, that is crazy. That is an insane thing. And I want to look into that a little bit more because, like, they were in space so long with weightlessness. Like, you lose so much muscle. Like, they had to get wheeled out of the pod or the shuttle or whatever it is. And it's like they have like a long rehab ahead of them to get back to like normal because they're just like in space, like not doing nothing.
Yeah,
so
it's crazy.
All right, well, we got anything else on space or what?
No, I think that's it. I do think that I changed my stance though. If I was given the opportunity to go up in one of those things where you're only in there for like a couple minutes, I would do it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to be anti-space, but I think I could handle that version of it.
Yeah, I just I just don't see. If you want to feel weightlessness, just go underwater, go in a pool.
All right.
So I don't know. That's just.
I mean, you still feel like weight. You still like.
Yeah, it's close enough though. It's close enough for me. I don't need to go into space.
All right. There's salty water, I guess. You kind of float.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, well, that's it I had on space. I just really needed to get that off my chest. I'm so, I'm very pro-women and all that kind of stuff, but that really got under my skin, the pro-womanness of this stupid little space flight. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, now, next. we're going to get into another a touchy little subject that I just kind of wanted to touch on. Because when we talked previously about our feelings about all of these mass deportations in the United States and how it was going to affect not only people that we know and love and care about, also the construction industry as a whole, it's actually one of the things that we got like the most feedback on, and people were happy that we were talking about it, because in this industry, lots of people know people who this affects, and everyone's got really strong feelings about it. And ultimately, it's something with a human toll. Like, it's not just a policy that's like, oh, you might lose, or you might lose some money, or you might gain some money. Like, this is a human thing. This is a human to human connection that a lot of people have. So, I just wanted to bring up what's currently happening with a man, Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He's in the news. I'm sure people have heard of him. He got deported. It was an administrative error. He shouldn't have been deported. And now he was a smart worker, which I didn't know what that was, but it's sheet metal, air, railroad, and transportation worker. He was an apprentice in a union, and even his union is trying really hard to get him back against the administration, the presidential administration. So I think that's like another, these things happen, and it's kind of like, they're gone and they got deported, and like, what are you going to do about it? But this has like been so high profile that like not only his family's trying to get him back, certain different politicians are, but like even his union is vouching for this man and saying like, we need to get him back. He's just a member of society that was, doing all the things that he was supposed to do. And now even his union is trying to get it back. And I think that's really, I hope that there's, separate from this specific person, I hope that unions are standing up for the people that they rely on so heavily. So I just thought that was a really interesting angle to add on to our previous conversation.
Yeah. And what exactly is the story behind this? He was apprehended, I guess, deported, and now is in a prison in El Salvador. Is that right?
Yeah. So he's from El Salvador. He came to the United States. Admittedly, he came here undocumented in I think it was 2012, and then was granted. I don't know the correct words, so I'm sorry for all. There's very technical, high-level words for all of these things, but he was. I guess it's asylum. He was granted asylum in 2019 because he was targeted by gangs. So the United States said, "Okay, you're good. You can stay here. You can work here." And he's been here, and there's, depending on which political side you're on and what kind of news you're looking at, some people are saying he's just an upstanding citizen, and some people are saying, no, he's gotten arrested twice or whatever. I couldn't find any he's never been arrested as far as I can, he was just a law-abiding citizen. He's married to a U.S. citizen. He has kids that are U.S. citizens. One of his kids has special needs. So the United States said he can be here, he can work here, and he's been checking in with whoever you got to check into the, I guess it would be ICE or immigration. Yeah. He's been faithful about doing all the things that he had to do. And then recently he was apprehended. He was in the car with his son, who is the special needs son, who unfortunately had to see all this horrible stuff, and then he got deported. Without any contact. He wasn't allowed to contact his wife. She had no idea what happened to him. She didn't know what was going to happen to him until she saw on the news a picture of an interview in this prison, and she happened to see him in that footage. So that's how she knew where he went. She wasn't allowed to talk to him or anything. So now they're saying it was an administrative error. He shouldn't have been deported and sent to this insanely high level maximum security prison. And some people are saying he can't come back. He's in a gang. He's rightfully deported. But either way, it's unconstitutional because there's no process. There's no, someone on the street said, he looks like he's in a gang and that we're going to ship him out. There was no trial. There was no nothing. He was just deported with no recourse. So yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of his backstory. Some people are saying, he's been arrested. And it's. I guess when you're in a gang, it's kind of I guess it's a hard thing to prove. I don't know, because Because some people are saying he is in a gang. Some people are saying he's not in a gang. But either way, there should be a trial or some sort of thing about it. And there wasn't. He was sent away.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a slippery slope when, it's just like you can kind of bypass all that stuff, especially somebody that's here legally, in a certain way and is married to a U.S. citizen, has U.S. citizen children, to just like, see ya. Bye-bye. We're going to ship you off. And that's kind of it.
Yeah. And it's one of those things like this, irregardless of all, like his specific story, like he has a family and his wife happens to be a U.S. citizen. So I think that probably matters. Like, that are making a lot of noise about this story. But imagine how many people in the United States who are here, doing everything they should be doing, that are undocumented or whatever their background is, or whether they're partially documented or all that kind of stuff. And then they get shipped away, but they don't have the same kind of leverage to get the coverage that they would need. You know what I mean? Like, he's getting a lot of coverage right now, which is great. But this is just one story. There's probably other people too. So it's, like you said, it's slippery slope where this kind of just, it ain't right. But I wanted to bring it up more so. It's, a lot of people on different sides have different feelings about it, but I just think that it's really cool that his union is getting involved. Like he was a construction worker just like us, and his union was getting involved to try to get him back. I think that that's pretty cool. A nice little thing for a union to do, to care about the people. That's what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. You keep phrasing it like that. Like, even the union, these soulless union,
I don't feel like that.
People, even they want to bring them back. Like, yeah, they should.
Well,
are we anti-union here? What are we? What's our stance here?
I'm not anti-union at all. Okay. I'm saying it because people are saying like, oh, he's a criminal, but I'm saying like, even his union is backing him. Like, if he was a criminal, then his union might be like, well, actually, they might have stayed silent on it, but his union is coming forward and being like, it's his union that's coming forward. And then the guy who's the head of like the North American trades, whatever, like the head construction union in the United States, like they're all trying to get him back too. Or I don't know how hard they're trying, but they're calling for him to come back. So I think that if he were a criminal, they'd be like, well, maybe we keep quiet about this one. But I'm not anti-union. I think that unions, I think the idea behind unions is amazing. I think that they really want to protect people and get them all the benefits that they need to have, and they take care of their people, and I think that is wonderful. I think that sometimes it's taken advantage of, but thus is life. That happens in every industry and all that kind of stuff. So I'm in no way anti-union.
Okay. Yeah, I think, this obviously is a much bigger topic, bigger issue, bigger story than just this one isolated incident. But, it's something to kind of keep your eye on. And, we don't know the exact details of this story or all the other stories that are out there. But it's something, that has like a real human toll to it. So, like you said, it's probably the one thing that we've gotten the most feedback on, feedback on a single topic. So, a lot of people do know, people that are either undocumented or whatever in this industry. So I think whatever side, like politically you're on, a lot of people have strong feelings about this topic. And it's not just every single illegal immigrant is a gang member that is going to murder you. It's a lot of people that are just here working. So, I think this is one issue that no matter what side of politically you're on, it's a little bit less, stick to this party line and like, we're on this side. I think there's a lot of kind of intermingling of where you're at on this issue. Just because it is personal for a lot of people, especially in this industry. A lot of us know people that, we've worked with people. We've, like I've been doing landscaping and construction for the last, 15 years. If you work at a landscape company, you probably know somebody that was undocumented. And, I worked at a couple different landscape companies, and a lot of undocumented people that were just awesome people. So, take it for what you will. I don't know necessarily what we can do about it, but at least talk about it. And that's it, I guess, for now. So, all right, you got anything else on that, or should we move into our next topic here?
Yeah, I think I'm done on that.
Okay.
Yeah, so next, when we were talking to Gord, Wood Bully, he mentioned, like, just kind of offhandedly, like, are we doing a disservice to our new employees when we're, like, nice to them? And it's funny, and, I think that everyone in the construction industry can relate to that, like, trial by fire, being thrown into the deep end immediately, and just having to, like, figure it all out. And everyone's, these people with the old school mentalities of, like, I'll know within the first hour if this guy's gonna cut it, or girl. Yeah. And it really made me think, like, how in this industry we treat new people. And I am very lucky I didn't have to go through any of that, because I just started working at Premier. It's my only trades job, and for the most part,
you don't know how good
really
you got
nice
it
to me. But I definitely know a lot of people who take the other side of things, and they're like, you gotta be, just be a big bully to them, and then if they do well, good guy. But it made me think about it, and then I happened to stumble upon an article about that exact same topic, and, like, are we really setting up our new employees to fail by treating them that way? Because maybe 5% of people flourish under those conditions, but that's discounting a whole other percentage of people who just might need a little bit of help, and then they're going to be your best employee. So
it's kind of like, where do you draw the line of, like, this person can, take some guidance, take some constructive criticism, can take some building up and become a great employee, or I do think that there is this mentality in construction that, like, you either have it or you don't. Like, there's this inclination that you kind of have towards building things, and that is true to an extent, for sure. But, it's, especially on certain job sites, it's like they either got it or they don't, and there's certain things that you can't teach, and it's more or less, I think, people will just have a certain inclination towards, or a propensity towards, doing certain things, but everything can be taught to an extent. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I kind of disagree with the sentiment of, like, they either have it or they don't.
Yeah.
Like there's certain things that can't be taught. I think that everything can be taught. And I think that certain people might not be engaged in a way that they want to learn, but I don't think that means that they can't be taught. I think that, maybe a career in construction isn't for everyone. I'm not saying that it is. But I think that if you beat people down and then they're not going to learn because they're disengaged, who wants to work like that? Like, no one's excited. All of your employees should at least be a little bit excited to go to work. Like, if you beat them down, no matter who they are, even if they do flourish under this, like, sink or swim mentality, they're not going to like what they're doing if they're just being bullied all day. Like, if you're just a little bit nice to them, they're going to be grateful for the opportunity. They're going to seek out knowledge. They're going to want to be engaged. Maybe it doesn't, like, maybe carpentry isn't, like, first nature to them where they can just figure things out on their own, but what's the harm in teaching them something once and then they know that for the rest of their lives? Like, I think that it's so cutthroat and people are like, oh, we can't find anybody to do anything. Nobody wants to do anything anymore. Nobody wants to work. And it's like, well, actually they do. You just scared them all away because you were such an asshole to them. Like, Yeah.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing to consider because, you do have, I think, a lot of people that are, say, owners of construction companies now. I think most people now realize that, you can't, like, just be that, like, cutthroat, like, yell at everybody type of boss. Like, that's more of, like, an old school kind of thing, and I think most people now realize that as business owners and kind of
I don't think so. I think in like bigger companies where you're not like one-on-one with people all the time, I think that there's still definitely that mentality of like trial by fire.
I think yeah, I think there is, but I think what I think it is more is people will kind of like get frustrated that, hey, you don't know what I had to go through when I was starting out and everyone was screaming at me. You don't know how good you have it. And it's kind of like it's kind of almost like a trauma response. Like,
yeah, wanting people to suffer because you suffered is like the worst kind of person.
Yeah, and that's kind of how these things, just continue on. It's like, well, I had to go through this, and I want to give you a little taste of this because this is what it's supposed to be like. And I think it's something I say all the time. Like, if you come work for Premier Outdoor Living and then you go work somewhere else, there's a good chance that you're gonna be like, oh my god, it was pretty cushy at Premier Outdoor Living. And that might be true, but it also, I think that we are evolving enough as an industry that is becoming less of the norm, I think. I think there is still a lot of chatter about that because people that have been in the industry a longer amount of time probably have worked for somebody that was like that and, were maybe even like that themselves. And, I think it's more of like I don't want to say like a jealousy or it's more of a, you don't know what I had to go through. So I feel like, I have a little bit of resentment or something when employee acts like this, like, you don't know how good you have it. And I think that's kind of the crux of this. I don't think that there's as much of this trial by fire, like just jump into it and you either got it or you don't. It's going to be cutthroat. We're going to yell at you until you figure it out. There is some of that. There's definitely a good amount of that. But I think the majority of companies, it's the people in charge might be resentful of new people coming in and having a better workplace experience and being like, holding that against them almost like, you don't know how easy you got it, you little punk. Which is, when you really think about it, it's kind of like, I had to go through this, so I'm going to put you through this because, look where it got me and, tough love and all this kind of stuff. And there's a time and a place for that to a certain extent, but it doesn't have to be this typical, archetype of a boss like that just beats up on everybody. Like, that's not helpful, and I think everyone realizes that, but people in this industry wear it like a badge of honor. Like, I went through this. You don't know what it's like to work for these construction companies. I think that's more it than, really treating employees like trash.
Yeah.
Did that make sense? Did that explanation make any sense?
Yeah, and it just made me realize that I just think men need to go to therapy. This is like...
Of course.
Every time we talk about this kind of stuff, like anytime we talk to people, like on the podcast or just at a trade show or whatever, you get into a conversation with any tradesperson and eventually it's going to come out that they have like they're riddled with anxiety and they've had some sort of mental breakdown. Every single person. They've all had some sort of something. Yeah. It's like, I'm really putting this all together now that somebody was really mean to them and now they kind of want to be mean to the next guy because they had to go through it. It's like, guys, just be nice to each other. Stop bullying each other and go to therapy and everything's going to be fine.
Yeah, I mean, human emotions are difficult to navigate. They're hard to understand. I think that is probably the most concise way to sum up that whole conversation is, yeah, of course, more men need to go to therapy. And, it's like this generational trauma that as an industry we propagate. It's like, well, my grandpappy's grandpappy yelled at him about, not holding the flashlight. And then my grandpappy yelled at me for losing the 10 millimeter socket. And now I'm going to yell at my kids because, whatever. And it's under the the guise of this is good for everybody and this is how you're supposed to grow. Because look how tough I am. I am so tough that I am on the verge of mental breakdown every day, but I hold it together, and that's what being strong's about. Maybe that's not what it's about. Maybe it's backing away from that edge of mental breakdown, and we should look at it as an industry that, you know what, I'm going to wear it as a badge of honor that I'm going to treat people better than I was treated at a first time on a job site. Maybe that's the change that we need. Or maybe it's not, and we need to triple down on it and be even more mean. I don't know. I'm not totally sure. But it's definitely something to think about.
Yeah, I just think about the last time that you were yelled at, like by anybody, by a boss, your spouse, whoever. They're yelling at you.
Yep.
You're not even listening to what they're saying because you're like, oh shit, I'm getting yelled at. Like, oh, okay. You're not taking it in. That's not a good way to communicate with people. That's never like an effective way. Mm-mm. Being mean to somebody or yelling at somebody, you're never gonna. No one has ever gotten yelled at and then been like, wow, you know what? This guy's right. I need to immediately change my ways and I'm going to do better right now. Like, that's not the human response to being yelled at or being mean to.
Well,
maybe there's a point somewhere in all that yelling and you kind of take it with you and you think about it and, you know, maybe over time. But like in the moment, it's not an effective way to communicate with people. So
when people are getting yelled at and they don't realize it's their fault and it's their error, that just means that person hasn't been yelled at enough yet, hasn't been broken down. But, you know, you start cracking away the layers, you get to that submissive core where they're just like, I'm sorry, I'm terrible, I'm the problem. That is the benefit of continued harassment. You break them down.
It's like how
build
water.
Them back up how you want.
If you drip water on a rock, nothing's going to happen. But if you constantly drip a lot of water on a rock, it'll eventually erode the rock. So is that what you're saying? You just have to constantly yell at people to erode their rock?
Yes, you erode their sense of self, and then you build them back up how you want, how they should be built according to your standards. And that's how we evolve as a species.
Yeah.
So
beautiful. You're not.
I got a lot of insights.
I changed my tune. Be mean to everybody. More bullying in the workplace.
Yes, but stick with it. You know, people are just not mean enough. You're just mean a little bit, and you yell a little bit to be like, this guy's an asshole. You have to continue that until they're like, this person is actually my master, and I have to bend to their will. So it takes a while. It's persistence.
Yeah.
It's persistence.
It's a process.
Yeah. That's definitely something to think about, and you know, maybe reflect on it a little bit, because I'm not sure what the answer is there, or what the.
Well, I have some answers.
You do? Okay.
Yeah. So here's 3 things that you can do if you don't want to be a huge jerk and you actually want to keep employees, and you want to do it in some sort of some. You want to do it in a structured way. You want to be nicer to your employees. You want to keep those employees. Maybe a pizza party. Maybe not. Pizza makes people really tired. I don't get why this whole pizza at lunch thing is ridiculous. All you want to do is take a nap after you eat a bunch of pizza. Anyway. But it's what people, anytime a customer is like, I'll get you lunch, I'll get you pizza. It's like, everyone's going to be tired afterwards.
Okay, ungrateful. God, they're just trying to do something
nice. It's very kind that they want to, but everyone's go-to is pizza all the time.
Because it's easy. Because it's easy. You know, it's like almost stressful, and they're like, I want to get lunch for everybody, get an order together. And it's like, okay, everybody wants something different. You know, Jose doesn't want,
very hard.
Jose doesn't want pickles on his. You know, everybody's got a different order. They got 6 different sandwiches and all that kind of stuff. It's like, you know what, just get 3 pizzas, 2 plains, one pepperoni. It's easy.
We are a 6-person crew. You can't handle 6 different sandwiches? That's
just
hard.
A lot. It's a lot of communication back and forth between who's ordering. Am I ordering it? Is the homeowner wants to buy it? So I gotta collect all the information. I gotta put it in some sort of spreadsheet.
I'm bullying you, and these are all excuses, and they're dumb excuses. So
okay,
be better.
I'll agree with that. All right, so go ahead. What do we got?
Anyway, so when you bring on a new employee and you want to be nice to them, and you want to A, appear professional, and B, give them the best chance at succeeding, because that's what we want. We want to keep our employees. the cost of losing an employee is way higher than just like mentoring an employee to be a good person. So, number one, structured onboarding. Every new hire has you go through whatever your process is. You have to come up with your own process here. I can't give you all the answers, but come up with some sort of structured onboarding where this person is introduced to everybody. Give them like the best chance of success with like expectations, and really have some sort of structured onboarding that you do with every single employee that you bring on. It's the same for everyone. Everyone's given the same spiel. They know the process. They know who does what. So they just have a good idea to start off this new career. Number two, hands-on mentoring. Pick somebody who's been there for a while and pair them up with this person, the new person, and give them, maybe don't pair them up with the grumpy old guy. Pair them up with somebody who's a little bit nicer and will actually teach them things, and someone who they can go to if they don't want to constantly be going to their boss. Like, give them someone who can like maybe answer some of their questions. Just give, it creates a personal relationship right off the bat, so they feel like they have someone that they can go to. And B, you're giving them knowledge because you're giving them a good mentor of who already knows stuff. And three, give them clear feedback and growth plans, which this is something we've talked about a lot because there's nothing more than I love than like an employee review or like a detailed list of obligations for people. Like the best communication is clear, constant communication. So give them all of their expectations, let them know what they're supposed to do, and then here's your expectations. This is what we're going to do. And in 3 months from now, we're going to come back and we're going to have the same conversation again, and we're going to see where you are. If you're comfortable with all the things you have to do, if it's too much, if it's too little, can you take on more? How are you feeling about the job? How am I feeling about the job?
Yeah.
These are all things that keep employees engaged and happy and wanting to do the best they can every single day. So those are my 3 actionable steps if you want to just be a nicer boss.
Yeah.
Sean.
Yeah, I'm the worst. I'm the worst. Emotional abuse on the job site. It's
all-time
me,
high.
number one. All-time high. I think I like how you laid out the clear and concise communication and checkbacks and clear objectives and responsibilities. That's something that we can definitely work on, fine-tune a lot, and I think would be really helpful for all of us to kind of know exactly and to just have these here's the big objective for the next 3 months. Here's all your little responsibilities on day to day, and here's like the big idea, the big kind of the focal point for say this quarter that we want you to focus on, and then a couple months let's check back in on it and have it written down so we're not like what was that thing that I said to kind of work on. It's there, you can review it, and keep everybody on the same page. So I think that's something that we can take and should probably focus a little bit more on. So anyway, all right, well, is there any other segment that we have not done in a while that we need to get back to? Whoa, what's that music? I know that music. It's the most exciting thing. What was that? What? Did I mess up? I gotta get the music over here so I can do it on my manual fader. We need a manual fade on that.
Okay, Sean.
Hey, listen to me. You are not doing a good job, and you just don't have what it takes, I guess.
Okay.
You don't know how good you have it. God.
Anyway.
When I first got started in the podcast industry, everyone yelled at me when I didn't do a good fade. How do you feel? Do you feel like you're going to do a better job next time? Do you feel
I'm not even listening to you.
A tiny bit of fear is what you need to instill in everybody.
Okay, so we are currently tied in trivia. I know it's been a while.
That can't even be possible. It always seems like it's tied. But we're just doing a great job here at coming up with these questions.
When we started this segment, I didn't know how this was going to play out, but I think we're doing pretty good that we're both tied.
Yeah, it's been pretty good. Okay. All right, I am going to start here with a question for you. True or false, the Egyptians are credited with the development of concrete as a building material?
False, isn't it like the Romans?
Boom! Boom! It is the Romans. You're right. Look at you go.
Hell yeah, brother.
We have talked about this before, so it's kind of like a touchback. And yes, the Romans are credited with the development of concrete as a building material, and it's suspected that it was around 300 BCE, and it was a mixture of limestone, volcanic ash, and water. And
go for them. So inventive.
Yeah. So,
although the Egyptians, they're no slackers.
They did their
good work as well.
They also did, yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess I should say that. Probably slaves. But whatever they made the pyramids out of, what are the pyramids made out of? Just sand?
Like stone, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what kind of stone. That's a good question.
Sandstone?
Probably. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll look into that. Maybe that's a question for next week.
Okay. All right.
What do you got for me?
When you are making permeable paver, what would you call that? Driveway, I guess? For vehicular traffic.
Okay.
You're making something for vehicular traffic that is made out of permeable pavers. And you need to have the accurate drainage so you don't be hydroplaning.
Okay.
What is the correct slope? Is it one as a ratio? 1 to 85? True or false?
1 to 85 what?
Like, sorry, I had to let me read the correct question because I'm just
okay. I don't understand.
I wrote this down in a different way.
Okay. So permeable or drainable? Like
the accepted minimum slope for permeable paver installation under heavy vehicular traffic is 1.35% or 1 to 85. True or false?
1 to 85. 1.3. I don't even understand the question. I'm gonna say it should probably be 1/4 inch per foot. So whatever that is, that's like a 5% slope. 1 to 85. I don't even understand what that is. I'm gonna just say false.
So you're saying 5%. So that would be 1 to 20.
Oh, okay.
So you're saying false.
I'm gonna say true because you're saying permeable.
Incorrect.
It's false.
It's 1% or 1 to 100.
Okay, gotcha. All right, that was so confusing. You need to do a way better job of. You're doing a terrible job. What are you doing?
I'm sorry. I'll take
Be
that
better.
feedback. I could have done that better.
Be better, or there's going to be hell to pay around here. I like this.
Okay.
What we learned on this episode. I'm going to take this and run with it. All right. Okay. Staying with some paver application stuff here.
Okay.
There is, when you are finding your soil compaction and also, any type of compaction, there is a certain type of test that is done. And you need to find this percentage for the bearing capacity and the compaction. Is that the soil stabilization rate, the standard Proctor density, the soil compaction quotient, or simply the compaction rate?
Can you say it again? Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. What is the...
No, the answers.
Okay. The soil stabilization rate, the standard Proctor density, soil compaction quotient, or compaction rate?
A? SSR?
No, wrong. Standard Proctor density. And so
I was
that's
gonna go with that because it had a random word in there, but
yeah. So like when you are doing base prep, you want to make sure that you're and it's going to be different for all different types of applications, but you want to make sure it's at like 95% standard Proctor density, and it's pretty interesting. It's a kind of a tubular thing, and then you drop. It's kind of like a weight that drops. Look into it; it's pretty cool. But that's how you find what the standard Proctor density is, and your engineer will give you a percentage. So like it needs to be at 95% standard Proctor density, And that is one of the nice things about using a 3/4 clean stone ASTM 57 stone on your base, because as soon as you dump that out, it's at like 90% standard Proctor density. The compaction of that happens very easily with the 57 stone, whereas a densely graded base that has all the fines, it's much more difficult, and you need heavier equipment to get to the correct standard Proctor density. So there you go.
Interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so
What do you think about a nice little light music bed during this segment?
oh, okay. Maybe we should have that.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think that'd be cool. Something to think about. All right.
Hey man, you want to be in charge of the sounds? You got it.
Oh yeah, I need some more
That's a
shit on my
task for
mixing
you.
board.
You haven't even pressed it at all. Say something, Max.
I don't even know what that one was.
It's chaos.
Okay. All right. What do you
Okay.
got for me?
Which is not a type of geo-membrane? A. HDPE. B. LLDPE. C. PVC. Or D. EMD.
A geomembrane. So HDPE, high density polyethylene. You got PVC polyvinyl chloride. LL. What was the other one?
LLDPE.
LLDPE. I have not heard of that. And what was the last one? What was the
EMD.
EMD? Geomembrane. I don't know if PVC would be an HDP. I'm just gonna guess and say PVC.
Correct.
Oh no, what is it?
Yeah. It's EMD. So HDPE is high density polyethylene, LLDPE is linear low density polyethylene, PVC is obviously polyvinyl chloride, and instead of EMD it's EPDM, ethylene propylene diene monomer.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah. All
Huh.
right.
Oh well.
All right. What do you got?
All right, this is another callback to something that we've talked about before. So you should know this, and if you don't, you're just an idiot. Who is the largest manufacturer of construction equipment in the whole wide world?
Caterpillar?
Idiot alert. Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
Okay. What was it again?
Caterpillar?
You got it! You got it right! Good job!
Gosh.
Yes,
High
Caterpillar.
on that.
It was, yeah. I really wanted to call you an idiot one more time. I'm
but
loving
you
this. I'm loving this new personality I'm finding as a leader. Yes, Caterpillar Inc. is the largest manufacturer of construction equipment in the whole wide world. And last year, their total revenue was $64.8 billion.
Oh my goodness, good for them.
Pretty wild. Pretty wild. I'd love to see a breakdown on what is, like, how that revenue split is constituted. Like, you know, you got your Caterpillar machines that you'll see on, like, a regular job site, like a regular size skid steer, a Mini X, all that kind of stuff. I'm sure that's a huge business. But then you see, like, in, like, mining, setups, like where they have these trucks that are like as big as houses and stuff. I wonder if that is a bigger driver of revenue. You know which ones I'm talking about? Like they have these huge, like on a mining site, you might have a truck that's like, these gigantic things that you kind of can't even believe. Yeah. So I wonder what the revenue split is like on that. So
interesting.
Anyway.
And are they a standalone company, or are they one of those things where, like,
yeah, they are.
They're owned by, well, I guess they wouldn't be owned by somebody if you would have said that name. But do they have like subsidiaries, or they're just
I'm sure
on
they
their
have
own?
some subsidiaries, but so I think, I'm not sure how long, but there is a plan for them to transition into another company. I don't know if you've heard about that.
Butterfly?
You got it. You got
Man,
it.
I'm on fire today.
That was admittedly not even funny at all. And I apologize to everybody. But like
That's
I say,
okay.
the only joke that's never funny is the one that you don't tell. So
Yeah.
I will always shoot my shot.
Okay. Anyway.
All
Next.
right. What do we got?
Okay. When it comes to like deck framing or really any kind of framing in foundations, in coastal environments, which are like wet, high saltwater content environments, if you are using steel, you need to add a sacrificial anode. What is the purpose of that sacrificial anode? I will accept lots of answers on this.
It is something that is going to react with the, like, it's going to counteract the reaction with the salt. Like, it's going to be a layer of something that degrades before the steel itself.
Okay, I will accept
It's
that.
going to inhibit the chemical reaction between the salt and the steel.
Incorrect. The way that you said it that second time was correct.
Okay, all right, we'll take that one. Yay!
It is not preventing anything. It is, they just degrade. So it's a sacrificial anode is either made out of zinc usually, or sometimes magnesium, and those softer metals degrade faster. So like it's some sort of like electrical current that goes through like the water or whatever, the water content, and those degrade faster. So like that reaction is happening, so it's preventing something else from happening. So it's not necessarily, it's not chemically having any sort of reaction with the steel. It's sacrificial. It's sacrificing itself before it goes to the steel. And fun fact, I have a sacrificial anode on my boat. That's a boat thing as well. The
Really?
zincs. Yeah.
Wow, that is so brave of them.
It really is. Yeah.
Sacrifice themselves like that for the steel.
I know. Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway,
All right, that's
great
the
job.
end. What do we do? Do we tie there?
Nope, I won.
No,
You
that's
got
not
two
possible.
wrong, and I got two right.
Dang it. Oh, yeah, you're right. Good job. Great job. Really proud of you there. You did really well, and it's amazing.
And you did terribly, and you should do better, and you should go home and you should think about this and how embarrassing you were today.
I agree.
What was that song? It sounded like Mighty Mighty Boss Tones.
I don't know. It's just like probably a royalty-free thing that came on the... That could be like our send-out song. Well,
Okay.
kind of lame. All right, well, that's it for this week. I think this episode was giving us a lot to think about as not only individuals, but as a society. And those times of reflecting are really where all the growth happens. And I think as a society and as individuals, especially men, we need therapy. We need therapy on a mass scale because most of these problems are arising from trauma in our own upbringing, whether that is specific upbringing within your family or workplace, or just as a society, how we've been brought up and raised to believe certain things. Times are changing, as they always are, and make sure you change with them in the right way, because like the seasons, you don't want to fall. Did you like that? That was pretty good.
Oh, man. All right.
That was probably the most poetic thing I've ever said. And like the seasons, some are good and some are bad. So we will spring forward. Anyway, until next time, this has been the Hardworking Happy Hour.
See you next week.